My name is David Brooks. This is my informative speech on GPS. Orbiting 11,000 miles above the Earth's surface is a constellation of 24 satellites. These satellites control a system that is ingrained in many facets of human life. I'm talking about Global Positioning System, or GPS. GPS technology is used in personal, commercial, and military applications. Many of you may have an OnStar, a Garmin, or a TomTom in your vehicle. These all function by utilizing GPS. Over the last 2 years, I've worked with GPS in the construction field. This made me realize that GPS is used for many other things in the world that I never knew about. From telling us where to go, to guiding a missile to its intended target, to helping a surveyor lay out a building, GPS makes all these processes easier. Today I'd like to inform you of a few more uses of GPS. GPS is used by many people every day in our personal lives. GPS is used for navigation systems in our vehicles, which simply allow you to type in your destination and it'll tell you where you want to go. That's according to the Aerospace website. Most of these units will speak to you, give you turn-by-turn direction, they like to call it, which lets you keep your eyes on the road. You don't have to shuffle through maps or paperwork or anything like that. Most of these units will also auto-correct your directions. In case you go too far, it'll, instead of telling you to make a U-turn or something like that, it will tell you to make a right-hand turn or whatever and auto-correct your path. Initially, these cost more than a paper map or printing out a map on Google or something like that, but they do cut down on paper usage, so in the long run, it's probably a better bet. The business for these units is booming. According to ZDNet research, from 2005 to 2006, there was upwards of a 200% increase in sales. So they are selling very well. The GPS units in your vehicles will also allow your vehicle to be located. If someone were to steal your vehicle or something like that, it can let the police locate your vehicle so that they can retrieve it. Also, some of these systems can stall your vehicle and cut your car off if your car is being stolen. GPS also has a few recreational uses. It allows fishermen to locate their favorite fishing spot. It can lay out all of the waterways. It'll mark the channel markers and the buoys and things like that. And most of these you can just hit a couple buttons and mark your favorite spot, and it'll tell you how to get back to the same fishing hole next time. It gives hikers and cyclists more freedom to move about without worry of getting lost. They can go try new trails and hike new paths, and if they feel like they're getting lost, they just get their GPS and it tells them how to get back home. Golfers use GPS to measure distance and improve their game. This is if they're, they happen to be in the rough or something and they're trying to get on the green, then the GPS will tell them exactly how far they are away, and they can determine what club would be the best bet for that. According to the U.S. government's global positioning site, GPS has introduced a few new sports. One of these is called geocaching. It's a sport that simulates a treasure hunt. You use your handheld GPS device and you locate a hidden container that is given to you. You're given the coordinates and you have to locate the hidden container. Not necessarily anything in the container, but finding it is all the sport, they say. And then another is called geodashing. Teams race to predefined GPS points. A computer will randomly pick thousands of points across the globe, and people from anywhere really can, in their area, search for these points, and whoever gets the most coordinates in a certain time frame wins the match, I guess they say. That's a few of the recreational uses and the personal uses summed up. So now let's discuss some of the commercial uses. The construction industry has really embraced GPS. Many aspects of the construction field use GPS today. Surveyors use GPS to lay out everything in the field for the guys that are doing the manual labor. This lets you build anything from a bridge to a building to anything. That's actually the encounter that I had with GPS in the field. I had a small handheld unit attached to a survey rod with a little satellite on the top of it, and I could lay out anything that was needed for the job, from building corners to the curve for the road to the sidewalk to gas line. I mean, everything that needed to be laid out could be laid out. A few benefits of that are that there's no line of sight problem using conventional survey equipment. If a car pulled up in front of you, you couldn't see the guy that you had to communicate with, and so you couldn't do your job as well. The U.S. government also states on the Global Positioning website that GPS is used in mapping to display natural and artificial features. This is used a lot after storms and earthquakes like the ones recently in Haiti and Chile. They go in and they can see how bad the damage was, how far the plates and things like that have shifted. Actually, in the ocean, they have GPS markers on some of the plates, and so they keep track of those to see how far they have moved. GPS is also used on the heavy equipment in the construction field, back to the construction field, such as motor graders and bulldozers, and that really makes the job of an operator much easier. As long as they're in the right job site and they have the GPS unit on their machine, they just punch a couple buttons and the GPS will move the blade for them, and so all they have to do is push forward and it'll get them onto the right grade. After talking about some commercial uses, let's talk about a few military uses of GPS. They use many functions of GPS that civilians like ourselves are not able to use. According to GIS development, the military uses GPS for rescue and emergency response. Rescue teams use GPS to reduce response times, which could possibly cut down on casualties on the battlefield. If they know where the unit is, they can get to it faster and possibly save lives. The navigational function is also used by the military, only it's a little different than we use it. Troops in the cover of night possibly can use the navigation systems to, maneuver through areas that they wouldn't have been able to maneuver through had they not been able to know where they were going. They also use GPS to track certain targets. This lets them keep up with potential threats. Before that person may actually do something wrong, they can still track them and keep up with what they're doing to make sure they're, on the right track. Bombs and missiles use GPS to strike their target, probably one of the biggest functions that the military uses the GPS for. From many miles away, they can launch a missile or drop a bomb, and the GPS will accurately track it to its intended target. They used to use lasers for this, but that required closer human contact, and the GPS allows them to strike the same target without people having to be there. I hope you found some of the information I provided to be interesting. GPS is a very important part of today's world. It allows us to play new exciting games, helps us build better, more accurate maps, and is a valuable aid to our military forces. I encourage you to get your hands on a piece of GPS equipment and try it out. You may discover that you were lost without it.